Good afternoon, dear student. Today is the 7th of December 2020. We are in the second quarter of our school year 2020-2021. We are studying the seventh man. Last session I have introduced for you the concept of vocabulary and their meaning. Today we're going to read the text and analyze it together. So if you have your book, please kindly open page 133. The Seventh Man, as we said, it's a short story, and it has been written by a Japanese writer named Haruki Murakami. The story has been happened in Japan, but in which city? This is what we're going to discover. You know that Japanese, it has a special climate condition and location. That's why it's exposed to a lot of natural disaster, especially the hurricane, the tsunami and typhoons. The hurricane and the tsunami or typhoons, all of them, they are shape of disaster happened because of a very strong wind, or like a strong earthquake that happened in the ocean, causing the water to flood and cover the city that's near the shore. And this thing happened a lot in Japan. In our story here, this city where the story happened in, they get used to this typhoon. It happens for them every year, 3 times each year. So the people of the city know well what should they do, that they should stay calm in their houses, even when the typhoon reaches the calmest point. They expect that it will start over again. So that's why to spend for about 15 to 20 minutes calms till it start over again. So the people know that they should stay at home. They don't go outside during this time. And of course, as you have noted, the text is so long, but in the same time, it's very easy to be read. So I will clarify for you the difficult word with their meaning, and you will find this in the vocabulary sheet in list 2, where you'll find the table with the new words with their meaning, example, followed by the synonym and antonym of those words, and some exercise, of course, on those vocabulary. I need you to read this text by yourself, and then you can listen to the analysis that we are going to do today. Let me just go to this. Sorry for this. It seemed that I was not ready. Okay. Yes. First of all, I need you to, in your book, read paragraph 2. And in paragraph 2, you will find, yes, in paragraph 2, we need to highlight some details that describe where the action takes place. In something that describes where the action takes place. You will find here in this paragraph 2 when he said that yet the hands of the clock had moved past 10, the wind tearing through the darkness outside. Those are some details that had described where the action takes place. Those details describing the setting of the story, this is thing, but it doesn't actually explain for us in which city did this action happen and in which year. So the thing, maybe we will learn it later on when we read the story. But we have here something that he had added here when he said in second paragraph. We are still here. He said the small group Yes, let's read it together. The man was the last one to tell his story that night. The seventh man. The hands of the clock had moved past 10. This is the time. The small group that huddled in the circle could hear the wind tearing through the darkness outside. The word huddle, it means that they were crowded. You can open the edit. Underline huddle. Yes, it means that crowded or gathered. Means crowded or gathered. The wind tearing through the darkness outside, heading west, it shook the trees, set the windows to rattle. And moved past the house with one final whistle. The word rattle means shake. Okay, the windows were rattling. When we find those two things, the word that he used to describe this, those details of the setting, we said that he left two details unclear, which is the year and the place. But the feeling that the details create by describing this, the wind and its effect on the house, it creates a mood of scary mood, gloomy one, ominous. The word ominous, this one, the word ominous means something that predict or give you a sign that something bad is going to happen. That was the effect of describing the setting in this way. Okay, that was in paragraph 2 that we said here. Okay, you will find this also in the PowerPoint that I will upload it for you too. And that's the effect of the description: ominous, gloomy, and a scary mood. Okay, let's go to paragraph 10. Before we go there, if we just check this paragraph 6 here, if you read it, you'll find that the author here is describing the seventh man in details. How does he look like, and his description of his face, expression. This is a descriptive paragraph. You can turn the page and go to the next one. Okay, let's first, before we go to 10, this is paragraph 7. He cleared his throat, and for a moment or two his words were lost in silence. The others waited for him to go. He was want to tell his story to the other people. In my case, it was a wave, he said. There is no way for me to tell, of course, what it will be for each of you. But in my case, it just happened to take the form of a gigantic wave. It presented itself to me all of a sudden one day, without warning, and it was devastating. First, the word gigantic. The word gigantic means extremely large, or it's you can say it's enormous, immense. Also, the word devastating. Devastating it's an adjective here. It had the verb devastate. Devastate as a verb, it means to destroy. So devastating means destroying. So this thing or this wave has destroyed him. And the as an adjective, destroying, as a verb, it means to destroy. Let me ask you about a question. Et here, what does it refer to? He used et here too many. When he said this one, it was a wave. When he said what it will be for each of you, but in my case, it just happened to take the form of a gigantic wave. It presented itself to me all of a sudden one day without warning, and it was devastating. It here refers to what for you? Yes. What the thing that he refers to be like it came to him in a form of a wave. What the thing that came to him in a sudden. What the thing that it could be. All of us have it, but it take a different shape. Actually, it here refers to yes, refers to his way, his fear. It refers to his fear. His fear had formed in front of him in a form of wave, and did the thing that he said, I don't know, or I can't tell what this fear will be for each one of you. Some of you his fear can appear in a form of dog. Some his fear appear in darkness. Fear is staying alone. Fear is having no one support him. Fear is to be among people. Yes, everyone, his fear appeared to him in a different way. In this story, his fear appeared to him in the form of a wave, gigantic wave, extremely large wave, enormous wave, and it was devastating or destroying. Okay, let's move on. I prefer really you to read it. It's a very interesting story. Let's go to paragraph 10. In paragraph 10, he said Kay is his best friend, that he was one of the main characters. Kay was frail, weak, a skinny little thing. His face almost pretty enough to be a girl. He had some kind of a speech impediment. The word impediment means something that prevents you from achieving anything. So speech impediment, it's a problem of talking, and those kind of people who have a speech impediment, they have problem talking, like pronouncing letters in a different way, with different sound, not because they have learned them incorrectly, but because they have a problem in the structure of their mouth, the structure of their teeth, their tongue, their jaw, whatever, prevent them from saying the word correctly. So Kay had a speech impediment. I played his protector. Seventh Man was the protector of Kay. The main reason I enjoyed spending time with Kay was that he was such a sweet, pure-hearted boy. He was not the least bit retarded. He didn't do too well at school. In most subjects, he could barely keep up. In art classes, though, he was great. He won prizes in one contest after another. I would often sit beside him. Yes, so it seemed that in paragraph 10, the author had been describing Kay in details. And why did the author do that? The author was describing Kay because he wanted to give us an explanation why the seventh man liked and admired his best friend Kay, and why did the seventh man still have this feel of guilty that he didn't save his friend Kay, is feeling guilty that he was responsible for the death of him because he was his protector, so he should be responsible for saving him from everything, even the wave that has swallowed him. If you have seen well, that Kay was a weak character. He was very sensitive, and he was bullied by the other because he had this speech impediment. Maybe those details or traits were not mentioned in the text, but we have elicited, we have used it from between the lines. And from this point, we have to know that we have two types of characterization. First of all, characterization is how the author built the character in front of his reader. In order to understand the characters, you have to mention their traits and their characteristics to draw the character in front of your reader. and in order to understand the readers, the characters, reactions, the attitude, performance, words, we have to understand their character. We have two ways of characterization. We have a direct characterization and indirect characterization. The direct one, the author directly states the character traits by saying that this one was a mean one or this one was a good one. This person was so smart or weak or bad. This one was very kind, very pure-hearted, and so on. This is a direct characterization, so you don't need to elicit the characteristic or the traits of the person. But the other way is indirect characterization, and here the author does not state them directly, but they offer for you some clues to let you elicit the character traits, like through his description of his appearance, like when he said the K was frail, his action, some of his feelings, that he was sensitive. Also the other characters reacting to him, the other character words, also through the word of the character self. By this way, this is an indirect one, and that's what the author did with K. K has been described through an indirect characterization method. Now let's go to paragraph 12. Yes, in paragraph 12, when you read it, try to find 4 vivid details about the storm. The author described the storm in vivid detail. Vivid detail, it means that he described it as if it was real, as if you can see it, smell it, listen to it, taste it, feel it. So this means that the vivid details should appeal to your 5 senses. You know, we have 5 senses, which is sighting, the smelling, the tasting, the hearing, and feeling. So in order to draw a vivid image in your in front of your reader, the vivid image should appeal to the 5 senses, not all of them together, but most of them. So in paragraph 12, you'll find some details where the author described the storm. In the first line, he said, sorry for that when, though I don't know why it's appear every now and then. In 12, just after noon, the color of the sky began to change all of a sudden. This is the beginning of the typhoon. There was something strange and unreal about it. He felt something wrong, ominous. I stayed outside on the porch, watching the sky until the wind began to howl and the rain began to beat against the house with a weird dry sound, like hands full of sand. Here we have, this is one of the detail, the first one. The wind, this is the first one. The wind began to howl. The word howl means, you know the sound of the dog? Ow, this sound. It means like a groan or growl or whimper. This is the sound of the wind. The rain began to hit against the house with weird dry sound, like a handful amount of sand. Imagine amount of sand you throw toward the door. This sound was the sound of the rain when it hit the house. This is one of the details and the vivid. What about it here? To which sense does this detail appeal to? Yes, here it appeals to the sound, because you can hear from how the sound of the wind. You can hear the sound of the sand that it hit the rain when it beat the house. So here in the first one, it appeals to the sense of sounds. This is the first one. Okay, let's skip this line and let's go to this line. This particular storm did not have a great deal of rain. It said, but the winds were doing a lot of damage, blowing roofs off houses and capsizing ships. Here the second one, the wind was doing a lot of damage, like blowing the roofs off houses. The roofs of the houses were blowing off them because of this wind. Capsizing ship, the word capsizing means turn it over while they are in the water. This is another image, and it's vivid, and it appeals to what? To sight. That's right, it appeals to sight. Let me just take you again to the first one. Here he had compared between two things. He compared between the rain and like handful of sand. The beating of the rain, it's like the handful of sand. Let's go to the third one. The house, every once in a while, the house would creak and shudder as if a huge hand were shaking it. This is the third one, the third image or detail. The house would creak. Creak, do you know when you step on a table, it makes like a sound, like a squeak. So the squeak is a creak. This is the sound of the house when the wind was hitting it. And shudder. Shudder, it means that when you have a fever, your body starts to shake or shudder. So shudder means shake. So this is the third one. It's vivid, and it appeals to what? Would creak, the sound, appeal to sound, and shudder appeal to feel. And the second one here, it appeals to sight, as if you are seeing it. The fourth one. Sometimes there would be a great crash of some heavy sounding object against a storm door. This is the fourth one. This is the fourth one. A great crash of some heavy sounding object against a storm door. Here we have a mixture of sound and sight together. A mixture of sound and sight together. Okay. How did this description help to visualize the typhoon? When you describe this, it let me feel that this typhoon, like a huge monster, has a great hand hitting the house with it. So it seemed that this typhoon was extremely dangerous. This fierce storm foreshadow or hides or that something bad is going to happen in the story. This storm was ominous. It gave me a prediction that something bad is going to happen. Okay, let's go back to the book again. Let's just skip those lines. You can read it by yourself and go to page 137, paragraph 27. Yeah, this one, paragraph 27. Okay, in 27, he said that the author has divided the sentence number 3, 4, 5, and 6 into parts. Why do you think the author used those dashes, and what pattern does this punctuation create? Let's read them together. This is the first sentence. We don't need it, but we read it. And so I had taken care to keep well back from the water line. In spite of that, the waves had slid up to within inches of where I stood. This is the beginning of the third one. And then, just as soundlessly, the water drew back and stayed back. This is the first one. What did the author added after the dash and stayed back? Did he add new information, or he just highlighted the same one? Yeah, he has highlighted a part of the sentence. Which part? That the water drew back and stayed back. He has highlighted. And also, as if he was adding important to the description, the described details. And when he used them in consecutive sentences like that, as if he is creating a stop and start pattern. This stop and start pattern create a tense mood because he is building tension here. He is showing us how the author was confused, how he was afraid, how he was hesitated. When you read it and stop and start, this creates a tension mood and show how the character was so hesitated and so afraid because he was feeling something wrong is going to happen, but he didn't know what was it. So from this point, the fear started to sneak into his heart. Okay. This part in paragraph 28 here where the disaster happened when he was calling his friend Kay, and Kay was not listening actually. I'm getting out of here, I yelled to Kay. He was maybe 10 yards down the beach, squatting with his back to me and looking at something. I was sure I had yelled loud enough, but my voice did not seem to have reached him. He might have been so absorbed in whatever it was he had found that my call made no impression on him. Kay was like that. He would get involved with things to the point of forgetting everything else. Or possibly I had not yelled as loudly as I had thought. I do recall that my voice sounded strange to me, as though it belonged to someone else. Then I heard a deep rumbling sound. It seemed to shake the earth. Actually, before I heard the rumble, I heard another sound, a weird gurgling, as though a lot of water was surging up through a hole. In the ground. It continued for a while, then stopped, after which I heard a strange rumble. Even that was not enough to make Kay look up. He was still squatting, looking down at something at his feet in deep concentration. He probably did not hear the rumbling. How he could have missed such an earth-shaking sound, I don't know. This may seem odd, but it might have been a sound that only I could hear, some special kind of sound. Not even Kay's dog seemed to notice it, and you know how sensitive dogs are to sound. So this means that yes, Kay has his friend with him. Let's go to paragraph 30. This is our target. Read it and find what was the narrator thinking about, the narrator thoughts, and the action that the narrator actually took. The first part here, I told myself to run over to Kay, grab hold of him, and get out of there. It was the only thing to do. I knew that the wave. So, okay, here we will find that in the first one, when he said, I told myself to run over to Kay, grab hold of him, and get out of there. This was in his thoughts. What he was thinking about. But when he said, I found myself running, some of it running the other way, this was his true action. So you'll find that both his thoughts and action both of them, they do not match each other. His mind was asking him to go and save his friend, while his direct or his instinctive made him run away instead of going to save his friend. So both of them, they do not match But why did he do that? What makes him to not to apply what he was thinking about, to do what was in his mind, to run away instead of going to save his friend? His fear. His fear make him do that. His desire to stay alive, to survive. All this motivate him to run away instead of going towards his friend. From those details that the author provides, we can conclude that the narrator he is conflicted. He thinks about something, but he does something totally different. Go to paragraph 41. Okay, I think it's, yes, it's 41. Here in 41, we have something called the character's attitude. What the character attitude? You describe what are the reaction of the other character towards what was happening in the story. You know, in this story we have some characters, maybe we haven't met them, but we heard about them. Like like the seventh man parent, like Kay's parent, like the other people who lived in the city, and also the seventh man himself. Those are different characters. We need to know their attitude or their reaction toward what happened. If we start by Kay's parent, he said that at great blue at this disaster that happened to their son had been for them, though Kay's parents never chided me for having taken their son down to the shore in the midst of a typhoon. We had the word chided, this one, let me underline it first. Yes, chided means to like scold, to speak to someone severely because of a bad behavior. So you can say that chided means lecture, or it means scold. Okay. So this is the Kay's parent. They didn't chide or scold him, although he has taken him in the middle of the typhoon, because they knew how I had always loved and protected Kay as if he had been my little brother. This is his Kay's parents' attitude. What about his parent? My parents too made a point of never mentioning incident in my presence, but I knew the truth. So his parents, they didn't talk about the issue in front of him. What about him? He said, I knew the truth. I knew that I could have saved Kay if I had tried. I probably could have run over and dragged him out of the reach of the wave. It would have been close, but I went over the timing of this events in memory. It always seemed to me that I could have made it. So he is blaming himself all the time. He feels guilty. What about the other people? Kay's parents failed to blame me, and that everyone else in the city, of course, was so careful never to say anything to me about what had happened. So here, this is the contradictory attitude, different attitude about who is responsible for Kay's death. So we spoke about Kay's parents, we spoke about the seventh man parent, we spoke about everyone else and the seventh man. So in your writing, especially of a short story, you have to mention the other character's attitude because it's very important. It creates a context within which the reader may judge for themselves. Also, by adding the detail, the author shows how other characters' attitude, the other character attitude, that they have no effect on the seventh man's sense of guilty. It's his own sense. because none of them feel that he was guilty or responsible, but himself also. This may, however, have an effect on readers' attitude too. Uh, let's move to another point, paragraph 45 and 46. You'll find on page 141. Here they are. 45 and 46, you will find that in 45 the author was using verb in the past, and then in the 46 he shifted to verbs in the present. So why did he do that? The author moved from the past in 45 to the present in 46 to show that the time period had changed. He would speak about something from his perspective as a child, and now he is in the present, he is an adult. He had 50, he was 50 years old. The shift is from a childhood to adulthood, where he is speaking in the present as an adult at that point here. So as if he is bring us back to the present time. Okay. The last paragraph, 58, I think, no, we still have another one. 58, we will find it on page 143. Yeah. Here it is. Yes. Yes, here in 58 you will find that there are some details that suggest harshness or hardness. This is in 58, and in paragraph 59 there are some words that suggest softness and calm. Why did the author use those particular details in this way? In the first one, yes, we have like the word demolish here, when he said it had been demolished some month before. He went back to his town, and then he discovered the difference, leaving only a scrape on earth. The trees in the yard had all been cut down, and patches of weed dotted the black stretch of ground. Gay's old house had disappeared as well, having been replaced by concrete parking lot full of commuters, cars, and vans. Not that I was overcome by sentiment. Sentiment means feeling. The town had ceased to be mine long before. In 59, I walked down to the shore and climbed the steps of the breakwater. On the other side, as always, the ocean stretched off into the distance, unobstructed, huge, the horizon a single straight line. The shoreline too looked the same as it had before. The long beach, the lapping waves, people strolling at the water edge, soft sun, silent appreciation of the gentle seascape. So what is this? What happened here? The town in which the narrator grew up had changed. It's no longer this small and quiet one, and the seascape, which the narrator thought might be a source of anxiety, is calm. The contrast caused the narrator to question himself a question. If his perspective to the place has been changed, won't his perspective to what happened to Kate's death, could it change too or not? And that might allow him to overcome his guilt and feeling responsibility for the death of his friend. Well, this is the yes. If you please reread the text one more time, please. This will help you really understand the the analysis. Yes, the last point here in 62, paragraph 62. this highlighted part. He said, I looked up at the sky, a few gray cotton where is it? Sorry for that. Yes. Okay. A few gray cotton chunks of cloud hung there, motionless. They seemed to be there for me, though I'm not sure why I felt that way. I remembered having looked up at the sky like this in search of the eye of the typhoon, and then inside me the axis of time gave one great heave. 40 long years collapsed like a dilapidated house. It means that it's an old, poor condition house, mixing old time and new time together in a single swirling mass. All sounds faded, and the light around me shuddered. I lost my balance and I fell into the waves. My heart throbbed, beated at the back of my throat, and my arms and legs lost all sensation. I lay that way for a long time, facing the water, unable to stand, but I was not afraid. No, not at all. There was no longer anything for me to fear. Those days were gone. So what did he do here? Yes, he gave up his fear. Here, the words and phrases, they provide like an analogy to help the reader better understand what's happening to the narrator physically. The narrator physically collapsed into the water just as the fear and guilt that have built up inside him collapsed, like a very old house, dilapidated house. The narrator has undergone the challenge, a change that happened to him. He confronted his fear. So this is the analogy. The analogy is comparison between the collapse of his fear and feeling guilty into the water, like the dilapidated house, the collapsing of the dilapidated house, the collapsing of an old, poor condition house. So he is no longer afraid. He is no longer going to live a life ruled by fear and guilt anymore. That's it, the end of the text. As I told you, read it again, and then when you read it, answer the sheet that I sent it to you on the LMS vocabulary sheet with exercise on the word that we have studied today. Thank you. I hope that you will enjoy reading it, and see you soon, inshallah. Bye bye.